Hello team and welcome back to the Football Social live on Soccer AM and Football Daily's YouTube pages. You're joining us for Liverpool versus Crystal Palace, the first game at Anfield in 105 days, and the home side need 5 points in order to secure the title. Looking to stop them are Crystal Palace, an in-form Crystal Palace who have won their last 4 games, conceding a big fat 0 goals in the process. So they'll be looking to replicate that sort of defensive form here, won't they? It's going to be tough for them, though. Liverpool have won 22 games on the bounce at home and remain unbeaten in 55. Although Crystal Palace have proved their hoodoo side in recent years. More wins at Anfield. It's Jermaine Pennant, over 50 Premier League appearances for Liverpool, over 250 in total, and 54 goals and assists. That's right. I've been checking out your Wikipedia, Jermaine. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good. Excited.
Lovely. Are you of a positive mindset tonight? Do you think they're going to make amends for that dull Merseyside derby on Sunday?
Yes. You know, obviously the no fans is playing a massive part in this. You see a lot of teams struggling. You know, there's not a lot of goals going in. But at Anfield, you've still got that you still have that buzz without the fans anyway. So that's going to play a big part.
The supernatural energy is going to make up for the lack of fans, according to Jermaine Pennant. I like it. That's extremely positive, sir. Let's see who else is joining us then. We've also got the one and only Dougie Critchley, Euro football legend, living up to the billing in his Real Betis shirt.
Yeah, only the
Looking
best
lovely,
tonight.
mate.
Only the best. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Excited about the game. As you say, it's going to be a difficult ask for Crystal Palace, but they've had a phenomenal season. In 9th at the moment, if they win tonight, they'll be just 4 points off Man United, who obviously won earlier against Sheffield United. So again, Roy Hodgson deserves an enormous amount of credit, but as you said before, really difficult game tonight at Anfield.
Yeah, and if they win another game, if they win here, that's 5 on the bounce, and that's their best sort of run of form since 2014. So it'd be one for the record books. Will Brazier, you still there, mate? You know, have you bothered to log in? There he is.
Just thought I would today, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, mate. What do you make of today's game? Are you excited? I need you to bring the noise like you normally do. And, of course, what are you here for, Will?
Yes, get in touch. I'm in social corner. Will we have another Crystal? No gale to derail if Liverpool fail or trail, but will coy Roy toy with his former boys. Hashtag TFS at Soccer AM at Football Daily.
There it is. He's earned his pay packet already. Fantastic start from you, William. Right, gentlemen, with just a matter of time to go before kick-off, let's quickly go through today's results. Of course, a few games have already been played. Manchester United defeating a lacklustre Sheffield United 3-0 with Anthony Martial's first career hat-trick. Newcastle and Aston Villa playing out a draw with Dwight Gale and El Mohammadi with the goals there. Everton, not a classic against Norwich at Carrow Road, but Keane has managed to steal the points for Ancelotti's men. He bounced back after, well, I mean, it was a solid point in the Merseyside derby, wasn't it? Maybe I'm being a bit harsh there. And Raul Jimenez securing the points for Wolves over Bournemouth, who are in big, big trouble. Right, let's have a look at the Premier League table to see what that has done to the complexion. Norwich remain rooted to the bottom, and Newcastle still solid in 13th. And Arsenal, of course, slipping into the bottom half of the table, much to the delight of every fan around England, barring, North Londoners. Let's go to the top half of the table then. So like we said earlier, just to reiterate, Liverpool now need 5 points in order to secure their first title since 89-90. The last time they won the title, only 4 of the squad were alive. Jordan Henderson, yet to be born. He was born 50 days after they secured that title. And like Dougie said, Palace, an outside shout for European football. They are surging up the table off the back of that very impressive run, spearheaded by Ayew with 9 goals. Let's see if he can cause Liverpool some trouble today. Right. Let's go straight to the formations. We're not messing around today, gentlemen. Right, it's pretty much business as usual for Liverpool. Gomez returns because, of course, Matip is out with that toe injury. Robertson straight back in, which is just as well because James Milner is out with a hamstring injury. Henderson, Fabinho and Wijnaldum make up the midfield 3. Fabinho, by the way, it's his 50th appearance tonight in the Premier League and he has won 23 of his 24 games at home. So he's their good luck charm as the Brazilian when he starts at Anfield. Mo Salah, of course, the big return, and I'll be talking about him later with you guys. Firmino, yet to score at home this season. He's got 8 goals away. Let's see if the lack of crowd has any bearing on his mentality. And Sadio Mane is the scourge of Crystal Palace. 8 goals in 10 against Hodgson's men. Right, Crystal Palace. I won't wind on as long for Crystal Palace, gents. You might be getting bored by now. So, like we said, Crystal Palace been very defensively capable in recent weeks. And Jordan Ayew carrying things on the other end, their top goal scorer with 9. No start for Benteke, who only has 2 goals in 43 appearances in all competitions for Palace, in his last 43, that is. But Townsend, always a threat. Wilf Zaha has been back amongst the assists since the football launched again. And that 4-1-4-1 is going to be difficult to break down, but Liverpool definitely have the firepower to do it. Mo Salah is back in the side. Jermaine Pennant, I want to know, how many is Mo Salah going to get tonight? Surely it's a matter of when rather than if. Come on.
I think he's scoring 1 and setting up Mane for the other. So 1 goal, 1 assist for Salah. I would say that's the strongest team for Liverpool. And I was a bit upset that team didn't start against Everton. But yeah, I'm glad to see the starting team, the strongest 11 is out now. Because they really need to get these points on the board.
What did you make of the match against Everton? Did it reveal anything about Liverpool sort of post lockdown? Because, of course, going into the enforced break, they weren't in the best run of form, let's say, coming off the back of 2 defeats to Atletico Madrid. Do you think, is there any sort of end of season trepidation there, or do you think they'll just get the job done here tonight?
I think they're just getting the job done here tonight. I don't think you can read too much into the performance against Everton. 1, because it's a Merseyside derby. They're always tight. They're always a bit ugly. End of the day, they didn't lose a game. They got a point. Didn't feel the strongest team. Missing Salah. And without the fans in the current climate. So with all them, putting together, you can't really read too much into it. But now they've came back from the long spell off the Premier League. Second game now. Hopefully they're all fired up and ready to go.
I love it. Doogie, Crystal Palace. Klopp has won the last 4 meetings with Roy Hodgson. Can you see their old manager causing any upsets here? What do you make of those lineups, buddy?
Well, he'll be absolutely desperate to. Obviously, it wasn't the most successful spell he would have wanted in charge of Liverpool back in sort of early 2010s. But it's going to be a massive ask. I mean, that first choice centre-back pairing of Gomez and Van Dijk is back. Robertson adds so much dynamism and sort of defensive capabilities on the left flank as well. I am slightly surprised that he hasn't gone with Naby Keita again in midfield. I thought Naby Keita was probably one of, if not their best player against Everton. Adds so much needed sort of dynamism. He looked back to his sort of RB Leipzig best, which we haven't really seen since his move from Germany. So slightly surprised about that. But yeah, there's no comparison between Minamino and Salah at current. So Klopp will be delighted to have those guys back in his lineup. And Hodgson, I think they'll go in, feeling like, this is sort of a free hit for them. at Anfield. Obviously, Liverpool have such an imperious record there. But as you say, Palace have won 3 times since 2013-14 at Anfield. So they are somewhat of a bogey side for them. I'm intrigued to see how this one goes.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Doogie. On your thoughts before we go to Social Corner for questions from the subscribers. If you've not submitted a question yet, then please make sure you do. We need to keep Will on his toes tonight. He'll be farming them out to us as the 90 progresses. But Will, you were with me for the ball draw on Sunday. Let's hope there's not another repeat of that. With Mo Salah back in the side, do you back us to get a goal in this fixture?
I hope so, yeah. I think one of the key takeouts for Liverpool was they changed that back 4 3 or 4 times in that Everton match and still managed to keep a clean sheet. So they've got that solid base to work from, and hopefully we'll see Trent and Robbo flying forward. And even speaking to the old stat man Dave, who includes in the title, he loves his stats. He was saying how crosses have been so important in this restart. So get the ball into Firmino, Mane and Salah, and we know how deadly Trent is with that right foot and Robertson is with that left one as well.
Great stuff. Let's have a quick score prediction then before we go to Social Corner for our first question. Game is going to kick off in a matter of minutes. Jermaine, what are you saying, buddy?
2-0 Liverpool.
2-0 Liverpool. Doogie?
I was going to say the same, so just to be different, I'll add an extra goal in there. I'll go 3-0 Liverpool.
Oh, convincing.
Come on,
Will?
Doogie.
I don't know, actually. I was looking at it earlier, but I've actually gone for 3-3.
Okay.
Wow.
Really, you're all right, mate. Really, you're okay.
Yeah, lockdown's getting to me. Yeah, you can tell by this haircut, Jermaine.
Yeah, it's definitely not all right on the evidence of what I'm seeing in that little box. Right, we've got 3 minutes, gentlemen. Let's have one question then, just to wet the whistle, William. Have you got one that's worthy of leading the charge there?
Yeah, let's change our attention towards Crystal Palace. Obviously, we spoke a lot about Liverpool. Jermaine, for you, I'll start with you. Wilfried Zaha, where will he be next season?
I reckon Man U. I reckon we'll go back to Man U.
Going back.
Yeah, I reckon we'll go back to Man U.
What's the thought process behind that?
I don't know, because I think he's a better player than Daniel James. Obviously, he had a rough time there, hence why he didn't play so well when he moved on back to Palace. But I think now he's matured. He's grown into the game more better, and I think now the way Man U play, he will probably suit them better now than they did when he first joined.
Do you subscribe to the notion of never going back to an ex?
Well, I've never lived by that rule, pal.
Doogie, straight to you.
I am not going to actually agree with Jermaine. I think he's going to stay at Crystal Palace. I mean, he's on such a hefty wage there. I think he's on £125,000 a week. He's got quite a few years left remaining on his contract. And after the season he's had, I think he's been quite disappointing this year. I think Crystal Palace fans would admit that himself, at least in terms of his goal output. I think it's only 3 goals in his last 32 games. So I'm not really sure who's going to be wanting to pick him up for, Palace were asking for £70 million last summer. And I doubt they're going to drop that considerably despite the coronavirus pandemic. So I think Zaha's not going anywhere for the rest of his career, to be totally honest. I think Crystal Palace fans will be delighted with that.
Hammer, what about you? Some big shouts already.
Well, how do you follow up those 2 very brazen answers? We've got one returning to, a resurgent Manchester United and totally staying put. He has obviously voiced ambitions to play in the Champions League, but that was prior to getting a considerable increase on his contract to Crystal Palace. They've, of course, made him the best paid player in their club's history. So they've done their part to retain his services. And he has delivered, maybe not so much this season as in times gone by. But, I mean, Jermaine will be able to tell us about this more in detail. But wingers, their prime generally extends to 27, 28, 29. Will a club be wanting to part ways at the top end of the Premier League table with £70 million to get Wilfried Zaha, a peak Wilfried Zaha, for maybe 18 months? Perhaps not. The game has kicked off. I'm going to cut my own answer short to deliver some price boost from our sponsors at Sky Bet.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Now we're
Indeed,
talking.
Doogie. He's excited. Why not?
Love a
Van
price
Dijk to
boost.
score a header, always a threat from set pieces, isn't he? I think his aerial win rate is around 70% as it stands. So that was 7-1, now 8-1. Salah to score a hat-trick. Love the optimism by the guys in the gallery. 25-1 that now stands at. Alexander-Arnold to score from outside the penalty area, averaging well over a shot and a half per 90 this season. So he's going to have an effort at some point, that is for sure. Will it find top bins? Who knows? Odds accurate at the time of recording and are subject to change. You have to be 18 plus to play along. I now feel and look twice that age, judging by the preview box. So yes, we'll be updating you with a few more bets as the game goes on. But the beautiful thing about this show is that we're in the control of you guys at home. So get your questions into Will. And if you're joining in for the first time, then make sure you subscribe to both Football Daily and Soccer AM. Right, Will, I think enough on Zaha. I think the guys answered that better than I did. So let's have another question then to get the ball rolling.
Yes, this one's from Nuno. He said, should Liverpool fans be worried by their drop in form? Only 2 wins in their last 7 games. Jermaine, are you worried as a Liverpool fan?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I'm not remotely worried. We've got 8 games left and we need 5 points. We're cruising. I'm sitting back enjoying this game. 3 points and all I need is 2 after that. Take care. Mate, don't worry about it, pal. We're flying. Have a drink as well.
That's that one, sir. Dude, what about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Jermaine. I don't think there's any reason to really panic, but I don't think Liverpool will want to end this season on a damp note. They've got the potential to do something really, really special in terms of a record points tally, in terms of the most wins in a Premier League season. So you just don't want to drop the ball at this stage. And their performance against Everton, albeit with a changed 11, wasn't great. But, you know, after nearly a third of a year out, I mean, I don't know what people were really expecting. I'm not going to hammer them for that, but they did get pretty fortunate.
We're expecting a goal, mate.
Yeah, I mean, well, Alisson made a great save from Calvert-Lewin. Tom Davies hit the post as well. I mean, in the end, it turned out that Everton were probably unlucky not to get the win out of either side, despite only having about a third of possession. But yeah, I'm with Jermaine. Nothing too much to worry about for Liverpool. They'll just want to finish with all those records in the bag.
Jermaine, for you, when you were playing, is that something the players will be focused on, the records, or will it literally just be getting across the line and getting that trophy?
I think first things first. They'll be thinking about getting across the line, get the job done basically as soon as possible. Then after that, everything's a bonus. Then they'll go on, all right, let's see if we can get this 1 game at a time. Let's see if we can get 3 points here. Okay, we X, Y, Z points off the record. Let's try and go again. So first things first, get the Premier League under the belt, and then they'll see where they are after that.
Lovely stuff.
So, Jermaine,
Absolutely.
we spoke about in the build-up to this game, Liverpool's imperious home form, unbeaten in 55. Of course, you witnessed firsthand what it was like to have the Anfield faithful behind you. Just how different of an experience you think it will be for those Liverpool players playing in an empty stadium? Because, I mean, I imagine it was an easy adjustment for Arsenal players because the atmosphere is pretty dead there as it is. But they certainly do put the wind in the sails, don't they, of these Liverpool players?
I wonder if Dave Jackson's listening to this.
I hope so.
No, listen, it's going to affect all the players because this is what we strive for as a professional footballer. You go out there with the fans, the atmosphere, it spurs you on. It's like an artist, a music artist performing at a concert with 0 fans. You know, he's not going to be energetic as he would, you know, trying to please a crowd. So it does have an effect on some players. Some players are performers, are showstoppers in the performance of the crowd. So it will have an effect. But Liverpool seem like they've got it under control. They're very professional. So hopefully, you know, they can just, you know, keep focused and not let the no atmosphere get to them and put on a good show. For me, please.
Yeah, I think we're due a good show from Liverpool. Jose Enrique, bless him, working overtime on Sunday when we had him on the show. Absolutely nothing to comment on during the game. But don't worry, we eventually his dog did wee live on the Football Social at the end. So if you've got any pets and you know we can squeeze a viral clip out of you, Jermaine, that'd be fantastic, mate. Will, let's go back to you for some. Let's go back to you for some questions.
And then, well, it was to sort of double down on the Liverpool question. There was one in here from, I can't find his name, but it's a great question. It was basically, where do Liverpool need to improve, and what specific players should they be looking at?
Well,
Start
I
with
wouldn't.
you, Duke. Or Jermaine. Go on, you, Jermaine.
Go on, Duke. Duke,
I'll
take it. Well, the front three, you know, you don't really want to change that. The way the scoring, hence why they're 23 points clear. They're phenomenal, and they work well and gel together. The defense is strong as anyone. You know, with Trent and Robertson down the flanks, the assist that they get, and you've got big Van Dijk in the middle of that, and with Alisson as well in goal. So again, there you don't really want to strengthen, if anything or anywhere, possibly the midfield with a little bit more creativity when teams, are very narrow in midfield, and sometimes the Trent and Robertson can't get down the wing to put them balls in. Sometimes we get caught out a little bit in midfield, so a little bit more creativity. I said, apart from that, that's the only place I can say. And there's my mate.
As long as that's not someone breaking into your house, I was worried for a moment then.
No, wait, where is he?
Just a very casual burglar coming in.
Jermaine, how disappointed were you to lose out on the Timo Werner signing? Because, of course, Liverpool's competition strengthening significantly around them.
Yeah, I would love to. I've had him at the club. I feel he would have been. Sorry, almost a goal. Oh, when I did.
Gini Wijnaldum almost popping up with the first goal there. It was like Will was discussing earlier. Crosses important in this game. Have been an important feature of Liverpool's season, actually, playing a little bit more direct, being a bit more unpredictable. Wijnaldum, it drops to him in the box, and I think might have taken. No, it did not take a deflection. It was just a terrible shot. I was prepared to give Wijnaldum the benefit of the doubt there. Didn't work out. You were talking about Timo Werner, Jermaine.
Yeah, I thought it would have been a good addition to the squad. I think, it would have been a lot more prolific than Origi, which you can't, all the Liverpool fans love him for what he did for the Champions League, the final in Barcelona. He's kind of a cult hero now, but I feel a bit more just when maybe Mane or Firmino or even Salah sometimes are not on song, you put Werner in there, who's an out-and-out proven goal scorer. I think would have been a great addition for Liverpool. A little bit disappointed, but, with the front three, you can't really blame him to maybe want to get another player to unsettle that. So, catch 22.
As a wide man and someone who much preferred, setting up a teammate than scoring a goal himself, how would it have been, playing with someone like Firmino, who is much more of an attacking midfielder in terms of his average position than an out-and-out number 9, an out-and-out target man? How would you have adapted in order to play with him?
I think I wouldn't have stayed as wide as I would have in previous teams, because I've had a lot of big men to aim for playing in my position. So with him, I'd have adapted, maybe coming inside more, where we can play them inside the left back and the centre back, them kind of dicing, piercing balls. That would have been, on my list to run behind the defence, maybe start pulling the ball back a bit more. But I'd love to play with him because he can find, he's quicker, he's clever around the box, and it would have been a joy to play with him.
Yeah, I just want to visit an incident in the game for a second. Fascinating insight there. But Jordan Henderson, former Sunderland legend, Doogie, he's just blasted one over the post, mate. What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it was great play from Mane on the left-hand side, and he sets up a lovely ball for Henderson. He's got acres of space, the newly turned 30-year-old, and he just blazes it over the bar. So that's two pretty good opportunities for Liverpool so far early on in this game, in a game that they're really dominating possession, as you'd expect as well. So strong start for Liverpool. It feels like a goal is coming quite soon.
Yeah, let's hope so. We've already seen a few dangerous crosses, like Doogie said, going into the box. And Palace appear to be dropping quite deep, considering we're only 10 minutes in. But 10 minutes in is the perfect time to get a few more questions, Will.
Yes, Jermaine, fire one at you. One of your former clubs, Arsenal, announced the new round of contract extensions. One of those going to David Luiz. I don't know about you, but I thought it was an episode of Impractical Jokers. What are your thoughts? Why is the big man staying?
That's a great question. I have no idea. After that last performance, I don't know. There must be an inside man in that team. I'll tell you, offering a new contract. There must be Man United coaching staff working for Arsenal. So I can't see why you're giving him another contract. I don't know, mate. You'd have to ask someone else that question.
Dude, what do you make of his? I mean, what do you make of his performances in an Arsenal shirt?
I mean, they haven't been great. I don't think he's been up to his usual standard. But what David Luiz needs is a lot of structure around him, and he's been choppy and changing centre-back partners. He's averaging I think it's a red card every 13 games for Arsenal, down from about one every 160 for Chelsea. And he's averaging a penalty given away every 6.5 games. So he hasn't been great for Arsenal, but at the same time, I feel like if he had more protection around him from defensive midfielders and a solid centre-back pairing throughout the year, then it would have been slightly different. What you don't want with David Luiz is fast players running at him in open space. He's like roadkill just before it's about to be hit. He just looks completely startled in open space. And
I don't want to pick your answer apart, mate, but roadkill just before it's hit isn't roadkill yet.
Well, you know what I mean. Soon to be about roadkill. But yeah, his snapshot decision making is not good, and we've seen that time and again this year. But from what we've heard and read, he's a fantastic leader in the dressing room. Arteta clearly, values his 31 years of experience, his numerous titles won in multiple different clubs, over his occasional lapses in judgment. But if I'd been Mikel Arteta, I wouldn't have offered him a deal.
Hamill, you don't have to be the smartest man in the world, do you?
Yeah, I think he needs more than structure, Dougie, to help him out. I think you need to start looking at the art of defending. So what I've been seeing. It's not just once,
Jermaine,
it's
I feel
on
that's
every
harsh.
occasion.
I feel that's harsh. I think he's in danger of becoming a joke and ruining a perfectly good Chelsea legacy. And I think that's a really good observation by Dugan, that every time he's been part of a very rigid system, particularly under Conte, where he played in a 3, he was able to take on a number of positions, being that defender who stepped out the line, or being the defender who was entrusted to distribute really well from deep. But as soon as he tries to do everything, he can look terrible. But in his defence, Jermaine, do you not think that his defensive partners aren't exactly top 4 standard, are they, at the moment at Arsenal Football Club?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but as a Brazilian international, a ball being kicked up in the air and you going to kick it and you miss kick it is nothing to do with your defenders next to you. That's just your own skill, your own lack of ability. It's not hard to boot a ball 40 yards up the pitch. He's made 2 mistakes. Came on 20 minutes and made 2 mistakes, 2 goals, cost Arsenal, on the back foot, and then gives a penalty away and gets sent off as well. So they're not mistakes from your defenders. That's your personal ability. And as an international, Brazilian international, you should be doing a lot better than that. Don't get me wrong, at Chelsea, I thought he was a good defender. But then as soon as he came to Arsenal, he's just literally gone down the pan.
I see your point. He's clearly rubbed you up the wrong way watching Arsenal recently, Jermaine. We'll forgive you for that. But what do you make of Matteo Guendouzi and some of the criticism that's been levelled at him for being a player who, it's hearsay at the moment. Sorry, just to interrupt. Zaha looks like he's had to be forced off with an injury, and Max Meyer has come on. What a huge blow for Crystal Palace. 15 minutes into the game. We'll touch upon that in a moment. But just to go back to Guendouzi, some of the remarks that he may or may have not made in the game, a little bit unsavoury. What have you made of his attitude since he's broke into the Arsenal first team? Do you like to see that? A little bit of character, a little bit of edge, or do you think he needs to prove himself first?
Look, he's a great young player, and he's just showing his hunger, he's showing his determination, and he wants to do well for Arsenal. So, things ain't going well at the minute at Arsenal. Everyone knows that. So the players are going to be under a little bit more scrutiny. Sorry, Armenia. Little soft shot inside the box.
Doogie, what happened there? Firmino almost scoring his first home goal of this campaign, but ended up to be,
it's a startling stat, that, isn't it? No goals at home. I think it's 8 or 9 away from home. But he opened his body up, tried to curl it into the bottom corner, but it just didn't have quite enough power on. Wayne Hennessy was able to quite easily get down to his left and stop it. But again, another promising sign from Liverpool. We've seen them looking dangerous from crosses, but that was a counter-attack looking good. Good play from Mane to play in Firmino, and he just didn't take advantage of it.
Will, as someone who loves a maverick, Christophe Dugarry being your sporting hero, what do you make of the Guendouzi situation? I mean, you're doing your best to replicate his hair, but what do you make of his performances and otherwise on the pitch?
I don't know. I feel a bit split on it. Like, part of me feels that's what Arsenal need, a bit of fight and a bit of grit in that sort of CDM position. And even the way he reacted to what happened with Leno and was in Malpays here for the whole game. But then it just feels like the same old Arsenal from 10, 12 years ago. Like, they've not mentally, they're so weak and they haven't improved over that time frame. It's just, if you're running the club and paying David Luiz over 100 grand a week, like, who's making that decision? I got to see him, Matt, but even I think that's not the smartest sum to be putting through.
Maths notoriously difficult at GCSE, mate. Don't worry, I struggled as well. I think maybe some of the rationale there is that it's probably this summer going to be difficult to recruit. Clubs are either, going to be unwilling to sell or won't have the sort of capital to buy maybe some of their desired targets. So just easier to retain players. So maybe he's benefited from the circumstance at the moment. Of course, Cedric Suarez and Mauri both getting, was it Mauri? Sorry, correct me if I'm wrong, Doogie, but new deals. And they've barely played, 20 plus games for the club combined. So I think it was pretty much salt in the proverbial wound for Arsenal fans that he made that mistake, and then the contract renegotiation was announced. But let's see how he does from here on in. He might have a positive impact in the running. They're not exactly well stocked for options, are they? Right, let's have some more questions then, mate.
Yes, let's move back to Liverpool. And speaking of young talent as well, Jermaine, how bright is the future for Liverpool? They seem to have a first, second, and we saw that third team in the FA Cup beat Everton as well.
Yeah, it's very good to see. They've got some great players. Ryan Brewster's doing fantastic at Swansea as well, scoring a few goals, 2 at the weekend. So, up front, they've got options. The young Jones, left back and left wing. He looks great. They've got the young Harvey as well, Harvey Elliott. So they do look like they've got a young crop of youngsters be able to.
Which one are you most excited about, Jermaine?
I think Ryan Brewster. He looks quick. He looks very, very quick, and players with pace, excite me because it gives defence all sorts of problems. And we've seen quick players, how frightening they can be and what devastating effect they can have. So I'm looking forward to Rian coming through, for sure.
Has Rian fared well against Birmingham in the Championship, Will?
I don't think we faced him yet. He probably would do, because most people fare well against Birmingham these days, and that's not much credit to him, to be honest.
I'm surprised we've not had a Birmingham-related question from you for Jermaine. We're 20 minutes in. You might have asked him in times gone by, but I thought you might have dug one out at the moment. Liverpool looking to threaten with that cross. It's been a recurring theme, the cross from the right to the back post. Not bore any fruit yet, but Wijnaldum, he's there or thereabouts, isn't he, every time? So clearly a game plan there to attack that back post. I wanted to touch upon Manchester United. Great 3-0 victory for them against Sheffield United. And they looked solid. They looked slick. Bruno Fernandes and Pogba in the same midfield. Jermaine, where are you expecting them to finish this season?
I think they've got a good chance. Top fourth place. Got a very good chance, because they look like they're finding the right, piece of form now. And the Pogba and Fernandes looks like a good combination midfield. And we all know how devastating and how pacey their front three can be with Rashford and Martial. And if James is playing, and Greenwood played today, and he's a very exciting young player for him. So all around they're looking strong. They've been unbeaten in the last 12 games. So I feel if they continue, they should finish fourth. Tottenham, a bit off the edge. Leicester look like they're not really getting them results in these climax. So best bet is Man U finishing fourth.
Doogie, what are your thoughts on the matter? Can they pip Leicester to Champions League football? Fairly inconceivable before the break.
Yeah, no, it definitely was inconceivable before the break. I mean, I want to give credit to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because I've hammered him over the last couple of years, but actually his team selection today was really brave. Pogba, Fernandes, Matic in midfield, then Greenwood, Martial, Rashford, the sort of lineup that's going to excite all United fans. And they really went from it for the first minute. I think it was actually probably their best performance of the season. The one-touch football around the box, the runners from deep. Pogba looked right back at it instantly after that fantastic cameo appearance against Spurs as well. So massive credit to Man United. The one caveat I would have was I didn't think Sheffield United were up to much at all this evening. Thought they lacked their usual intensity. Their pressing in their game had gone. They obviously... Oh, it's a goal!
We've had a goal!
Trent is miles out.
Yeah, come on. And that's where we're going for.
If anyone has forgotten, that was in our scorecast. Trent Alexander-Arnold to score from outside the box. And it's come true. What a free kick from the young man.
I can say that.
We can talk about Sheffield United later. What a goal.
Jermaine, as a man who scored a few free kicks, just how good was that one?
That's a brilliant free kick. He had no chance. Absolute zero chance. Went out of my book there, Trent. Well done, pal. Love that. Brilliant.
The best.
Come on. Hey,
well, he's become known for his,
Oh my God.
Jermaine, just how much would you have enjoyed playing in front of a man like Trent Alexander-Arnold?
Oh, it would have been a pleasure. It would have been a dream. Not only because he likes to get forward as well, but it would take the pressure off me, knowing that it's not all have to be coming from me. It will give the left back and put him in all sorts of predicaments. Does he follow me? Does he mark Trent? Can I go inside? Trent can go. It would just be so much easier, because not only will he have to worry about me putting the ball in the box, but have to worry about Trent as well. So it would have been a dream. And me and Trent on the right would have been an absolute problem. Just throwing it out.
Would you have been willing to do that defensive work, Jermaine, that comes with him flooding forward?
Yeah, of course I would. For the team. The team comes first.
Oh, good stuff. Right, water break is resuming. Doogie, you were talking about Sheffield United before Trent absolutely pinged that in. Did you have any final points to make?
Not really. I was maybe being a bit harsh on them. I just haven't been that impressed with them since the restart. I thought their performance against Newcastle at the weekend wasn't great. Obviously, they had Egan sent off in that, but they just haven't carried their usual threat since the resumption. And I'm just, they've had a phenomenal season. They're already I think they're on 37 points, so they're already safe. Or maybe even higher, I think they might be on 40. But yeah, their dream of European football looks nothing more like a pipe dream unless they can arrest this slump in form, and they'll have to play a lot better than they did tonight.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. I thought it was very smart the way that Ollie sort of used his front three to pin the fullbacks back, obviously playing a 5-3-2, weren't they? And then that meant Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw could just come inside at will. And when there's an overload in the middle of the park, and Bruno Fernandes is one of those players, my oh my, are you in trouble, because the pace that he plays with around the box is frightening. And what an acquisition he's been. Still hasn't lost in a Manchester United shirt. Jermaine, did you think you'd make that sort of impact coming from the Liga NOS as someone who's, well-travelled like yourself?
Well, I knew about him before he came to Man United, and I always say he's a fantastic player, and he'll be perfect for Man United. That's what they've been looking for. Someone with that energetic, that pace, the skill, can thread a needle through an eye. Just exactly what Man United wanted. And it's always difficult. Can players come to the Premier League, or any foreign league and do it? We've seen a lot of players who have not. But when you've got that much ability, you will make it work, especially a team like Man United. So I knew it was going to be a hit, and he is. He's doing wonderful.
He is doing wonderful. That is an understatement at the moment, isn't it? Will, before you bring it up, mate, how's your fantasy team doing so far?
Yeah, good start to the day, Chris. Thanks for getting in touch. Rashford made him captain, took him out for Aguero, 2 assists there, so obviously double points. Looking for Van Dijk, a clean sheet here. Also got Willy Bolly with the centre-back clean sheet. And the old Traore Jimenez partnership strikes lucky for me again, Chris. So sitting pretty on about 36 points so far after the game week 31 started off.
Have you ever considered a career reading the scores or maybe horse racing? Because your delivery so far tonight has been absolutely outstanding in that regard. Right, let's get a few more questions. Oh, quick free kick. Maybe stick with this free kick for a second.
Oh, Van Dijk!
Oh, back off the post!
Oh my God! Lucky boy.
Doogie, I think you were keeping a close eye on that. What happened, buddy?
Yeah, so it's a Robertson free kick, indirect, comes in. Gaeta gets a touch on it, and then is that... I can't quite see on my screen. I think it's Henderson has another shot which comes off the post. He connects with a half volley really nicely, bounces through Gary Cahill's legs, hits the post, and Van Dijk then has another shot, and it's cleared off the line. It's all go. It's another corner for Liverpool, over the bar.
Oh.
Wow.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. We've had more drama in 28 minutes than the full 90 in the Merseyside derby. But, so all is forgiven from a Liverpool standpoint. I don't think Liverpool have lost since you've featured on the show, have they, Jermaine?
Do you know what? That's a fantastic stat. This is why I love coming on the show when Liverpool are playing.
He's the football social's good luck charm. Right, just a quick reminder then, if you haven't had a question asked, then that is what we'll be doing for the next 60 minutes plus. So please get them in the comment box below. Subscribe to Football Daily and Soccer AM. These streams are going to be coming thick and fast, and we've got some absolutely fantastic guests lined up, including for tomorrow's tie, which we shall reveal at the end. Another long ball collected there by the Crystal Palace keeper. So the perfect time to get a question in.
Yes, start with you, Jermaine. Lots of questions coming in about Trent Alexander-Arnold. We were just speaking about him. But could you ever see him change in position to a right winger or even a central midfielder?
Look, he can definitely play in the midfield. He's not going to be your typical electric, fast-paced winger, but he can definitely do a job as just a normal right centre mid. But I think his best position is right back, because you get more time and more space as a right back, because more times than not your winger isn't going to be tracking all the way back to stop you from putting that cross in. your left back has to deal with the winger that he's defending. So I think he will prefer it being a right back, getting them balls in the box like he's been doing.
Dude, do you think it's mad how, I mean, I used to play right back, and that's because that's the only position I was allowed to play to not cause the most amount of trouble. But now it's becoming sort of a sexy position, isn't it, being a fullback?
I mean, it was the same with me, Will. I was only allowed to play right back as well. But I mean, fullbacks in the modern game, particularly in a 4-3-3, which is sort of in vogue at the moment, are the sort of some of the key attackers in the game. And we've seen it not just with Liverpool this year, but we've seen it with Bayern Munich, with Kimmich and Pavard and Alphonso Davies on the left-hand side. We've even seen it at Juventus this year with Juan Cuadrado playing so well at right back as well. So we've seen a lot of wingers converted into fullbacks this year to devastating effect. But in terms of changing Trent's position, I just think why bother? I mean, since the start of last season, I think he's on 24 Premier League assists, which is more than anyone else in that time, which will probably be toppled by Kevin De Bruyne in a couple of weeks. But yeah, just a phenomenal player who, over the last 2 years, has probably been in the top 3 right backs in the world consistently. Hasn't really had a drop off at all. So full credit to him.
Yeah, I think Pep Guardiola probably has a lot to do with the evolution of the fullback in the modern game, doesn't he? Starting with Dani Alves, perhaps. I can't profess to know much about who was playing fullback when Jurgen Klopp, his pressing machine, his Geiger pressing was introduced to Dortmund. But I'd just like to clarify, I also started my career at right back, and that's probably why we all talk about football instead of playing it to any high standard. Liverpool, the lion's share of possession, I'll get the specific figures for you soon, but they are camped in the Crystal Palace half, and Jordan Ayew conceding a foul deep into his own half, which is a good indication of how up against it Crystal Palace are at the moment. Doogie, we were speaking about what players Arsenal could need when we shot today's Sunday vibes, but if you had a modest budget and you wanted to future-proof this Liverpool side, Timo Werner is gone now, what position do you cover first and foremost this summer?
I think in terms of a real necessity, we can look at sort of depth on the wings and at centre forward, but I think Origi, Shaqiri can do a job there. Minamino too, developing nicely. What I would really go for is a left back to cover Robertson. I think he's played 49 games this year already, and over 90 over the last 2 years. We just saw another free kick from Fabinho blazed over. So I would go left back definitely, because we'll see Milner's filled in for him there on occasion, but Milner's what now, 33, I believe, so that can't go on forever. So a deputy left back, which is quite difficult to find in today's market, because not that many people will want to go and play second fiddle pretty much every single week to Andy Robertson. I would suggest someone like Sergio Reguilon at Sevilla, if they could get him from Real Madrid, because he's been on loan at Sevilla this year, that'd be fantastic. But they might have to drop down a sort of tier of quality and go for someone like Tagliafico from Ajax maybe, or sort of shop around that sort of bracket. But definitely a backup left back as a sort of matter of urgency, I would say, because they will get found out eventually, I would have thought.
I mean, talking about a matter of urgency, Liverpool have had 74% possession and Crystal Palace have only managed to put together 81 passes so far to Liverpool's 230, just to demonstrate that almost cut out, just how in command they are. Right, I have another price boost for you from our sponsors, Sky Bet. Yes. And of course, one has already come in today, Trent, to score from outside the box. And 5 of his 7 Liverpool goals have been from outside the box. But this one is about Sadio Mane.
Ooh.
Right, there we have it. So Sadio Mane to score the second goal was 7-2, now 9-2. Odds accurate at the time of recording. They are subject to change, and you have to be 18 plus to play along. But like I established at the start of the show, Sadio Mane is the scourge of Crystal Palace, 8 in 10. Let's see if you can add to that today. Will,
yeah.
What are you guffawing about bottom left as I'm rolling through the T's and C's?
Just a nice little juicy there from Dave.
It was a juicy price boost, mate. You got to say what you see.
Juicy, okay. Oh. Is that replaced the Viking clap, yeah?
Yeah.
How do you differentiate between a Viking clap, Will, on a price boost and a juicy price boost?
So I think it sort of depends the mood you're in, really, and just sort of which way you're feeling that night. And tonight, it's definitely juicy.
It's a
There we
balmy
have it.
night.
We've had a goal. We're feeling juicy. Let's go back to Social Corner for some questions then.
Yeah, quick observation for me, Jermaine. Trent Alexander-Arnold's just banged in an unbelievable free kick. The next one they get in is near the same enough position. We see Fabinho on it. Would you be livid as a free kick taker?
Well, if I've just scored one, I'm looking to take the next one. So I'm a bit surprised that he didn't. But I guess it was like, maybe 5 or 6 yards further out. It was more of a power than, that should be an handball, by the way. VAR, look at that. No. This is crazy. Firmino's booked it.
That is a definite handball. Firmino's in need of a penalty as well, isn't it?
What's going on here? Is it dead now? Is it too long? Can they not look at that?
I think it's gone now.
It is now past. I have been told by the chore dog in the booth. I never felt so far away from you, Chorley. But there we have it. He's eye in the sky. He said it's gone.
Hey!
That did look like a handball to me, but it's still in the box.
Mane!
Wijnaldum. Absolutely bouncing around the Crystal Palace box. Doogie, Wijnaldum again at the back post.
Yeah, he's picking up so many good positions, but his finishing just hasn't been as sharp as it normally is. Obviously, he didn't start that game against Everton, but yeah, opportunity to him, comes to him, sort of middling of the box on the left-hand side, and he just skews it left. Roy Hodgson there, scratching his chin as might he should, because Palace have not been in this game so far.
Yeah, Roy Hodgson's hair there, totally revealing of how this game is going. It's looking wild. Roy is looking perplexed. He's a little bit lost for words on the sideline. His side, who, formerly, like we said, very defensively resolute, getting an absolute battering in this game, and it perhaps should be 2-0 to the Red Men. Jermaine, has anyone been unlucky not to see any more minutes this season? We talk a lot about Shaqiri, we speak about Minamino. Is there anyone in this Liverpool side you think there's more to come from that's not been featuring at the moment?
Not really. I would like to see a little bit more Minamino. Because when he was at RB, he played fantastic against Liverpool in both games. And I've watched clips on him as well, and I think he's a really, really, exciting player. So I want to see him get a few more minutes. It was a bit harsh that he played in the derby because it was an absolute awful game. You can't really judge him on that. But, I'm hoping to see him in the last maybe half an hour in this game where it's open. Liverpool got all the possession. And let's see if he can start unlocking doors. So, really, I think everyone else has had minutes to shine. Shaqiri's had his time. Origi's had his time. So, apart from that, maybe it's Minamino. But he has just recently came in, so you can't really...
There we have it. Answer my next question as well about who we might see at the end of this game. So, potentially Minamino making amends for that lacklustre performance against Everton. But, like you said, wasn't just him. Will, 40 minutes in, we've had a goal. Happy days. Is it happy days in the comments? The Liverpool fans loving this?
Yes, lots of Liverpool fans thinking it's done. And that sort of has moved our attention away to the top four. And a question from Aaron Gonzalez. And he says, who do Leicester need to sign in order to keep up with the top four? Quite a direct question, Jermaine. So is there any areas that you think Leicester need to look at to sort of cement themselves in the Champions League places?
I think all over, really. They've only got ready Vardy up there, Iniacho. It's always good to get another striker, but saying that, Vardy is the top goal scorer in the Premier League. You've got James Maddison in midfield, who's up there along with KD. Kevin De Bruyne now with assists. And the defence race. So maybe just a few players all over, really. I couldn't say one single section of the team where they need to strengthen. I'll guess all over.
Dude, I'll change the question up a little bit. Who do you think's in the best position to go into those top four places? Is it Leicester or Wolves?
As in to permanently break into it, or do you mean this season, sorry?
Let's go permanently, to establish themselves.
Yeah, I think. He's gone for a chip from about 40 yards out. Hennessy way off his line, but it hasn't come to anything. That was Mo Salah having a long-range effort there. In terms of permanently break into it, I would say Leicester are quite a far way ahead of Wolves at the moment. I read a stat the other day that Wolves have only used 19 players in all competitions this season, which is a pretty small squad. And we've seen that when they did some rotation at the first part of the year, when they were trying to balance the Europa League qualifying with the early stages of the Premier League, they actually started really poorly. I think they didn't win in their first 7 games, whereas Leicester, a lot more strength and depth. In terms of particular positions, I think you're probably looking at a backup to Wilfred and Ndidi. So that's why the news about William Carvalho potentially having a bid accepted this week's quite exciting. And then you're probably looking at a long-term replacement for Wes Morgan as well. Although I don't think you'd want someone that was necessarily going to go in and disturb that Evans-Söyüncü partnership, because that's been one of the bright spots of this season. And then if they lose Chilwell, obviously a left-back as well. So it really depends who goes out as well as who comes in for Brendan Rodgers. But I think they are in a pretty good state.
Chris, what about you as well? Just picking up on Doug's Ben Chilwell comments. I think it was Pat who was speaking about it on one of your shows about how, it might have been you actually, Doug, about how 80 million for Ben Chilwell, you take it and run with it because his form's been good but not great.
A very rare foray forward, by the way, there by Maya, just flashing a shot past Alisson's post. And, you know, if you're going to shoot from distance, you better be confident with Alisson in goal because he's been formidable this season, hasn't he? Back to your question, which is an excellent question. £80 million for Ben Chilwell, yes. You can absolutely find someone who has a similar impact, I think, for half that money on the continent. And Leicester have recruited very smartly in the past 4 or 5 years. And even when they have received huge money for the likes of Harry Maguire, for Mahrez, they have spent it very wisely. They've gone into the Championship to get James Maddison for just over 20. They've headed to the continent and got, Söyüncü for, I think that's Puel actually, for around 18 to 20 and similar signings of that nature. So for that sort of money, I would sell Ben Chilwell. I do think they'll probably get in the region of 60 to 70 because they don't need to sell, do they? Leicester are always in a strong position because of the financial might of the owners. Carvalho, very good signing. 28, does have his injury problems, particularly this season. He's missed over 20 games for Real Betis. Very influential last campaign when Setien was sort of running hot with them. But without Ndidi, Leicester really do struggle to build from the back, which is why there's so much onus on Ricardo Pereira and Ben Chilwell going up and down because Ndidi's probably underrated as a passer, but Tielemans and Maddison are floating eights, aren't they? They don't want to be in their own third, picking up the ball from deep, and we've seen Maddison have to do that on occasion. So I think they're addressing their number one problem. Number two problem, Jermaine picked up on it. You can't be dependent on Jamie Vardy. James when he's being told off. Jamie Vardy scoring 17 Premier League goals at the age of 34. And Izzy Iheanacho... Liverpool in again here. Mo Salah. Is it offside?
No,
it's not.
He
doesn't look very happy, though.
Yeah, for some reason, Mo Salah not turning his nose up at a goal on his return then. It's smiles now, it's all fist bumps now. But let's just have a little look at this goal. Let Doogie break it down for us.
Yeah, it's a lovely ball played through over the top. That ball we've seen so many times. Crystal Palace defender falls over. Salah just it's from Fabinho, sorry. Crystal Palace defender falls over. It's Varnett on hold. And he just lifts it over Hennessy very easily. It's a really nice, touch and finish from Salah. He makes it look so simple. But yeah, we thought it must be offside because he didn't look very happy to score, which was kind of bizarre, having not played last week. And having been out since March, obviously, with everyone else. So, kind of bizarre from Mo Salah, but, fantastic for Jurgen Klopp going in 2-0 up now.
Jermaine, that was a great ball from Fabinho, but the rest of Crystal Palace's back four were actually keeping a really good line apart from left-back Van Aanholt. So, do you think that was because Mo Salah was creeping and creeping and creeping?
Yeah, he was watching Mo, wasn't he? Obviously, anyone has to keep an eye on Mo Salah. But he just was literally watching Mo and then started to ball watch on the flight of the ball. Mistimed the jump, mistimed where the ball was, and let Mo in. You can't give Mo them opportunities like that because, as you can see, he will punish you and score, which is great news for me. Yeah. Come on.
And I imagine great news for a lot of people who put Mo Salah back in their fantasy football sides after that small spell out. He's over it now, and he's back amongst the goals.
Captain, he's my captain.
Hey.
And we've got, I was going to say, we've probably got time for one more question. We do have an excellent feature with Virgil van Dijk at half-time, so make sure you stick around for that. But not a lot of injury time here. The game has been played, it's been pretty much full flow. So Will, let's have one more before we go to the break.
Jermaine, I mean, obviously, if City drop points tomorrow, it is done tomorrow. But where will Liverpool rank this team in terms of other Premier League winners? Obviously, Man United are 98, 99, the Arsenal Invincibles. Where for you do they rank in those?
Well, it's got to be up there with the Invincibles, really. I know they're not made. There was this one ball, losing to Wolves. So, Watford, where they had a little blip. Apart from that, you've got to put them up against teams like that. It's not that they've lost. It's that they've only lost one. I know they've had a draw against Everton. Apart from that, they're potentially going to break the record for points. They're just winning games, left, right, and centre. So you've got to put them up there with one of the greatest of winning the Premier League. And if you don't, I think you've been a little bit biased. I'm certainly being biased. What they've been doing this season is fantastic. And I think everyone has said they've been a joy to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you boys? Starting with you then, Will. Where would you rank these in your sort of Premier League pantheon?
I think Premier League, you'd have to put them near the top, and then it's whether you bring in the conversation of, that Manchester United team obviously did it across three fronts, which I think there was that 10 days where they won the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Champions League. Obviously Liverpool can't do that, but they're coming off the back of a Champions League win. But definitely very high for me.
What about you, Dukes?
I tend to agree as well. I mean, 2 Champions League finals we didn't mention there. I think it was 97 points last year. Man City getting 98. So they've been knocking on the door for this first title since 1990 for a while now. But I'd like to see them go on another one, try and get 3 in a row, try and equal that Man United side of the mid-2000s to really cement their place in there.
What a lovely shot that is, by the way. Just admiring that. We do have an excellent half-time feature coming up for you right now. It's half-time at Anfield. It's 2-0 to Liverpool. Make sure you stick with us for the second half. Jermaine Pennant will be answering all of your questions. Let's go to Virgil van Dijk.
Right, listen, I want to have a bit of fun now with you, Virgil. Joe Gomez came on last week and we did an isolation island. And some of the questions, some of the answers, he seemed to... he had a big decision to take, it was either you or Gigi Wijnaldum. Okay. I'm not saying anything, but he chose Gigi. I mean, I was a bit like, I'd have took big Virgil, the big man, number 4. I think you'd have been more help. But anyway, so if you could take some food with you on your isolation island, what would it be?
That's a difficult one, though. What kind of food?
You're probably bored of food right now. I mean, what are you eating at the moment? Are you, because you've had sort of 5-6 weeks off now, are you finding you're tempted to have a little bit, maybe more ice cream or a bit more dessert, or or are you still looking after yourself?
No, the club is looking after us, to be fair, though, so they're doing very well. But I know, obviously, I'm at the age as well. I know that you have to look after yourself, food-wise as well. So, but yeah, what to take? I would take fruit. I think I would take bananas and stuff. But it's or rice. But yeah, you can't cook it, I think. Or maybe
you're a vegetarian? Do you eat meat or not?
No, I eat meat. Yeah, but you obviously I don't know. It's difficult.
All right. What box set? What are you watching at the moment? What would you take with you?
Obviously, to be fair, I'm watching The Last Dance of Michael Jordan just recently.
You enjoying it?
yeah, it's good. It's good to see. Obviously, is for us as well. Sometimes we can relate to certain things, as a football player in the world we live in. But yeah, it's very, very nice. It's very good to see and interesting to see how such a superstar and big star as Michael Jordan, went through all of this, and also the players, around him as well. So
a team. I went actually, Virgil. I was in '98. I missed the World Cup through injury, so I was obviously devastated. So I thought I want to do something special. I knew Jordan was about to retire, so I flew over to Chicago to watch the finals. It was one of the best experiences ever, like seeing Jordan up close. I bought some courtside tickets. It was insane just seeing how good he is, and then what a leader. He's a special athlete.
Yeah, it's incredible. I think people like him, don't come often too many times. So
no, exactly. And what about memorabilia? What would you take? I'll let you take one piece of memorabilia with you.
I'll take my Champions League trophy.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's all right. That's good. You can drink out of it. You can do a lot with that. All right. What album? What music you into, Virgil?
I'm into Afrobeats. I love a lot of Nigerian music. I love also a lot of rap. Drake, Meek Mill, Migos. I'm a bit of everything. I like Dutch music, as a Suriname music as well. So I'm a bit all over the place, but
yeah.
A
bit like Ruud Gullit. Ruud Gullit likes his Suriname music as well. He's a bit of a he loves Drake and all those guys. But the Drake curse, obviously, you'd be a bit careful taking him with you in case the island gets washed away or something.
There's no curse, though. There's no curse.
And so you could take. I'll let you take a rap star with you. Who would you take along with you?
A rap star or a movie star?
Rap star.
Rap star.
Who would you take? Or a movie star? Anyone?
I would take Will Smith.
Yeah, he'd keep you going.
Yeah, I think he's a funny guy.
I
would love to meet him, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you will one day. I mean, he'd probably like to meet you. What about what teammate would you take? Joe Gomez took Gigi. Who would you take with you?
I'll probably take Joe Gomez.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time with Gini already, so I can spend a little bit more with Joe. But
exactly.
Joe is a fantastic guy, very down to earth. We can have conversations for days.
No, he spoke so highly of you. What opponent that has given you the most trouble would you take to maybe practice against while you're on the island?
I said in the interview that I think Aguero was the best striker that I've played against in the Prem, so maybe Aguero. Yeah,
that'd be a good. And he might be able to make some, get some nice Argentinian steaks as well. So he's doubles up.
He can hook us up.
Exactly. And what famous van would you take? You can take like Van Gerwen, Van Nistelrooy. Who would you take? What's the most famous van that you would bring with you? That was a producer's question, by the way. So if anyone's going, what does that mean?
Wow. I would probably say Van Nistelrooy.
Van Nistelrooy, yeah, exactly. Well, listen,
maybe I can use. Maybe I can. He can help me with finishing as well. He was a fantastic finisher.
He was, but listen, I know you love your basketball. Now, do you fancy a little challenge with me?
Let's go.
So we're all in isolation right now. We're trying to find different games. So I've been with my little boy. We play a little bit of basketball because he's watching The Last Dance with me. So I get the wash basket, 5 pairs of socks, and you got or 3, whatever you want to do, and see who can get the most. You up for it?
Let's go.
All right, I'm going to use my wash basket. So don't show me yet what you're going to use. I'm going to just set it up out there. All right?
No worries.
Yeah, you got me there, Virg? I can't believe you've thrown that one in, by the way. Let's have a little look at you. Let's have a look at you with the trophy there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Yeah. Virgil. Yeah, how's this one looking? How's this looking? Look.
Similar.
Yeah, slightly different. I think yours is a bit cooler. Right, I've got my socks ready. Let's go for what do you think? 3 or 5? What do you fancy?
I go for 3. I'm taking it easy.
I'm so jealous of that trophy. How did that feel, by the way, when you got that in your hands?
Surreal.
Yeah? What was the night like? What happened that night afterwards? I can imagine the emotion of winning it. And what was the night like? What happened?
I slept only 1 hour.
Yeah.
And then we went straight back to Liverpool after that. And then we went on the parade, and I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was so tired. But it was an unbelievable night. It was something that I will never, ever forget. So hopefully we can experience in the future again something similar.
And what about the manager? What did he get up to? But I can imagine him hitting the dance floor, actually. He just seems like he might have a few moves, Jurgen.
I have no idea what he did, actually, though. No, but I think he definitely enjoyed himself as well. And it was just incredible from start to finish, and something that we all want to experience again, whether it is in the Premier League or obviously in the next season in the Champions League. We'll just try and go again.
Yeah, for sure. Right, let's get it on. Good to hear that. So, I'll toss the coin. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Right, it's heads. Unlucky. All right, I'll go first.
Okay.
Yes!
Oh, you've been practicing, though.
1 out of 1.
1.
Oh, just smoothed it in there. That was like a little swoosher. Yes, 2 out of 2. Come on.
Ah, no.
Oh, right. This is it.
You standing closely, though.
No, I missed. This is to even it up.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'll let you have one more go. Go on.
No. I have 2 more here. You have to go.
Oh, we got 5. Okay. We've got 5.
Oh, I thought you were
just... All right, good. I'm up for that. Go on, then.
You first, though.
Oh, me first. Yes!
Yeah.
All right. So that's 4-3 to me. This to take it.
You miss it.
Hey, I've gone big. I've gone long.
You have to do it again, though. You have to do it again. You can't finish like this. I hate losing.
Okay, all right. No problem. I'm up for that.
I start now.
My dog wants us to say hello to you, I think, Virgil. Yeah?
What's going on, dog?
What's going on? Say hello to the big man. Right. Let's go. Best of 3 this time.
No, 5
go
again.
On, Virgil, you can start. You go first.
Okay.
Yes. I'm like Van Gerwen.
Yeah.
Yeah. MJ, a little bit of a swoosher here. Oh, I've gone long.
Yeah.
2-1 to you.
2 more to go.
Gone long, missed it.
Yeah. I'm swishing now, bro.
3-1. Like MJ in his prime. This is to come on. I need this one. Yes, 3-2. Oh, to even it up. Come on, Redknapp.
You miss it. Yeah, no, winning one.
All right. Winning one, okay. I'll tell you what to do. Shootout. 1 go. 1 only, okay?
Why? You're in a rush now?
No, I just don't want to. All right, I'll play as many up me. I'm here all day, trust me.
Let's
I
go.
don't want to waste your time. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
You start.
Okay, I start. By the way, you're not winning. This is it, bro. This is it.
Let's go. You're stepping forward, though. I see you.
I know, yeah. I just tried to drop one in there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've lost my rhythm.
Oh, no.
That miss?
Yeah, miss.
Hit the rim. Yes, 1-1. He's gone. He's gone. Yes, 2-1.
No.
Yes, I've got him.
I have to make this one, otherwise it's shoot up.
3-1.
It's over.
It's over. But that was good.
I played 3 quick ones here now.
Virgil, I think you won on the basis that you're using the Champions League to throw socks into, and I'm using a wash basket. I would love to have been able to do that. Right. Virgil, great. Thank you so much for joining us and being a great sport. That was good. Really good fun. So any other basketball fans in the team? Who else does a bit, likes their basketball?
Dejan Lovren.
Yeah.
Joao Matip.
Well, they had a good Croatian player, didn't they? What was his name? for the play for the Bulls. Yeah, Kokic. Yeah, what's his name? Kokic.
Yeah, Kukoc, I think.
Kukic. That's right. Yeah. No, it was great. So I can't thank you enough for joining us. It was great fun, Virgil, and to say that I beat Virgil van Dijk in a basketball challenge, my kids are going to be very proud of me.
Congratulations, man. Enjoy it. I would definitely shout it out of the window if it was you.
All right. Nice one. Virgil, thank you so much for joining us, and stay well, stay fit, look after the family, and fingers crossed you won't just have the Champions League trophy in your hands or in your house. You'll have a Premier League trophy very soon as well.
Hopefully. You stay safe as well. All the best.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for your time. Pleasure. See you.
Well, there we have it. Great interview there by Jamie Redknapp. Not many people beat Virgil van Dijk at anything, do they? Unless you're a Carlson, who thinks he's not even in the top 3 centre-backs in the world. I'm not sure if anyone else agrees with him. We have some match stats coming up for you right now. So let's just go through them just to illustrate Liverpool's dominance in this tie, because Crystal Palace, despite winning 3 games in the last 6 seasons at Anfield, haven't been anywhere near them, have they? So Liverpool, 12 attempts to Crystal Palace's 2, 3 on target to Crystal Palace's 0, and the passes are starting to clock up in Liverpool's favour as well, aren't they? And that is with Liverpool taking a more direct approach, and that's something that Doogie and Will noted on in the first half. 70% possession to 30 as well. I've got a pretty hard question. Who would like to take me up on it? Pretty much throwing whoever that answers this under the bus.
Yeah, go for it. Go on.
Love that confidence, Doogie. Okay, who's more important to the side, Virgil van Dijk or Mo Salah?
Oh, that is a great question. I would actually weirdly say Mo Salah. I think most people would probably think I'd say Van Dijk, but I feel like the drop-off in quality between Van Dijk and Matip, so if it was Matip and Gomez, is a lot less than if it was Shaqiri or Origi for Salah. I think Salah, it's 70 goals and 100 Premier League games for Liverpool. That is irreplaceable. And his ability to, dribble, make something out of nothing in tight spaces as well. I'm going Mo Salah.
Okay, lovely. And I'm glad we're back in a 4-box now, because when me and Will were next to each other, we looked like convicts in a black and white French film, trying to escape from some ye olde prison. So, Jermaine,
it was also getting bolder and bolder down the line.
I just asked Doogie, who is more important to the Liverpool side, Virgil van Dijk, who we heard from at half-time, or Mo Salah? What's your pick?
I would say Mo Salah, because without Mo, you're not getting the goals. You can see the effect he has already in this game than the team did against Everton. Obviously, Virgil is a great defender and he'll keep the clean sheets, but without the goal scoring abilities, you're not winning games. So I would say Salah is more of an important player, because not only does he score goals, he makes the defenders worry about him. He leaves gaps and spaces for other players. He can assist. So I think he gives more going forward than obviously Virgil will.
I just want to say, I agree. I just want to say that what an unbelievable ball that was early in the second half from Robertson. As you were talking about Mo Salah there, Jermaine, he could have doubled Liverpool's lead. Unreal ball by the Scotsman across the Crystal Palace 6-yard box. And the defender was stranded. All he could do was let it roll across his body and hope that Mo Salah missed it, which he did. But we're back underway. It goes without saying, doesn't it, as I'm describing chances at Anfield, which means you guys need to get back on the questions. Get them submitted in the comments box below. Pepper Will with them. I want you to bamboozle him. He already looks slightly bamboozled with those curtains. It's like he's stuck in the 90s, is William. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Football Daily, Soccer AM. Check out Euro Football Daily after this. All of the above, basically. Will, are people doing what I've so kindly asked them to do? I don't know if that's just me, gentlemen, but I can't hear Will. Will, if you've disconnected your sound at half-time, then you need to leave and you need to come straight back in, because that is a picture pitfall we've all walked into. I can still hear Doogie. I can still hear Jermaine. So let's just talk amongst ourselves. Jermaine, okay, I'm gonna throw another hypothetical at you. Alisson or Van Dijk?
I would say Alisson.
Okay. You can tell that you're an attack-minded player. Absolutely no respect for the defensive capabilities of Virgil van Dijk.
No. Listen, Virgil is a great defender. There's no question of that. But you have got Matip who can come in and play there. You've got Lovren who can, alongside a good defender, can do a job. But what Alisson and Adriano is a big difference. A big difference in what Alisson can do for the team that Adriano can't. So I would say Alisson, and I think a lot of people would probably vouch for that as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been absolutely incredible. Leads the Premier League for save percentage this term, and when you're in the box, barely get a sniff, do you, before the Brazilian is haring down on you. I thought you said Adriano then. I've been writing a script about Adriano today, Jermaine, and I was wondering how on earth you knew that. I was spooked for a second. But not as spooked as when Will disappeared. But he's back now. The curtains are still there. And can you please ask the question you were before? Now we can hear you, William.
Yes, I've been back to the 90s, been to Pat Sharp's Funhouse, came out, and I'm still here to ask this next question from Christian. He says, will Liverpool maintain their place, or can Manchester City catch up next season, Jermaine?
That's a tough question. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be a lot of spending due to the pandemic for next season, so there won't be teams, really strengthening the teams that much. So on that front alone, I reckon it's just going to be between Man City and Liverpool. But I would say Liverpool should have the edge because they've proven it now. For the last two seasons, they've 97 points last season. They're looking like they're going to go on to better that. So I would say it looks like Liverpool are going to be the team now to beat for the next couple of years for sure.
What about you, Deuce? Because Jurgen Klopp's already spoke about his disbelief that this team is 20 points ahead of that Manchester City team. So are we seeing signs that there might be a tighter race next year?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that watched that City performance against Burnley would probably struggle to believe that team is 20 points behind Liverpool. They are phenomenal on their day, just haven't been consistent enough. The issue for Man City going forward is this potential Champions League ban looming. How many of their potential targets, which they do need to get, at centre-back, left-back, potentially as a winger to replace Leroy Sané, who looks like he's going to Bayern Munich. How many of those targets will want to go to Man City without Champions League football next year? To be honest, with that coming in, I mean, if they are banned from the Champions League, I can only see Liverpool winning the title for as long as Klopp is there, to be honest, because I think it will take Guardiola, say he buys 2 new defenders this summer, they'll take a certain amount to bed in. It'd be pretty unlikely to be able to topple this team that have only lost one of their first 30 games and have the best league record in top 5 league history to date. So, big ask. And Champions League ban, it's kind of paid to potentially a title race next year as well.
Hamill, is there anyone we've not considered? Like, obviously we speak about Man City, but Chelsea, United, dare I say, Leicester, Wolves, anyone else?
Ambitious in terms of Leicester and Wolves, although I'd love to see, a Midlands club do bits. Chelsea have definitely sped up the process of becoming a fully fledged Champions League club again. I think those young players, your Tammy Abrahams, Timo Werners, Pulisic, despite the fact they've played an awful lot of football, they will need time to gel together. Let's not forget that, we were prepared for Lampard to finish 5th or 6th this campaign because that was the job he needed to do. So we don't want him to become a victim of his own success, do we? With Chelsea finishing 4th and people going, that's not good enough. So Chelsea probably another season away. We're going to hear about the transfer ban live on this show, actually. No, in July, early in July, we're going to get the news. So that should be clarified, in a 2 or 3 weeks' time. But Doogie's right in saying that could be what the league next year rests upon, because there's a lot of players who won't want to miss 1 to 2 Champions League campaigns, being the age they are. And that's obviously going to shape how they handle the summer and who's willing to go to a club without Champions League. They can probably offset that with massive wages, true. Oh, absolute rasper there from Robertson. But yes, I do think it's... Manchester City aren't 20 points behind Liverpool. I would say the gap is probably closer to single digits. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit more positive than Dougie. I'm going to say it still be tight regardless of what happens off the pitch next year.
Interesting. I think it's going to get very close. I just think you wouldn't want to scorn Pep Guardiola chasing after Liverpool next season, and even some of the performances since lockdown. And I mean, we might be having no fans until January next year. So Man City look like they've adapted to it quite well. And I mean, Phil Foden's already turning into a world beater at a young age as well, isn't he?
For sure, great start from him. Jermaine, I wanted to ask you a question on a different note. This is a bit of a historical look back, but you played in a really good Liverpool side that reached a Champions League final in 2007. I wanted to know, which of that lineup do you think would get in Liverpool's today?
I would say Gerrard, Alonso, Shaw, M2.
Mm-hmm. Alongside, who would you have from the current lineup? Is it Fabinho or Henderson?
Probably Fabinho. I'd have Fabinho sitting, and then Gerrard doing the box to box, and then.
On his 50th appearance in the Premier League, he marks it with an absolute howitzer. That is
best goal since
Thomas
the
Hitzelsberger-esque. Wow, oh wow.
Look at the venom on
30
this.
yards out.
Absolute
net buster.
Right on cue.
So
reminiscent of his countryman Adriano.
Oh!
Back to your question, Dougie. I'd have Fabinho alongside Gerrard. There you go.
What a side.
What a headshot.
I think we're all just watching in admiration there. That was rising and gaining pace. What an absolute perler. And it looks like he's going to win his 24th out of 25 games at Anfield. He continues to be their lucky charm. Wow. Mind blown.
What a performance from Liverpool. I mean, 55 minutes in, and they're coming up against a Palace defence that had a phenomenal record going into this game. I think they'd only conceded one more goal than Man City. And they've now put 3 past them, although 2 have been absolute worldies from Trent Alexander-Arnold and Fabinho, and we've still got 35 minutes to go. So what a performance from Liverpool so far. And Vicente Gaeta in the Palace goal must just be like, what's coming next? He's just getting rained on from
well, it won't be
all
Gaeta, buddy, because it's Hennessy in goal, isn't it?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, it's Hennessy, even more so. The shock going through his body right now must be, palpitating.
Yeah, I'm not sure he'll know what to do with himself. Well, I
just thought that this does mean that the 3-3's on now.
This also adds a lot of spice to tomorrow's stream as well, doesn't it? Where if Chelsea beat Manchester City, Liverpool will, of course, be crowned champions, just to reiterate. And this could also stretch Liverpool's home record to 56 games. They're in the box again.
Got another one.
And Wayne Hennessy collects from Wijnaldum again, who could have had a brace in this game.
Patrick.
So what I wanted
to
got
his shooting boots on today.
Jermaine, about sort of breaking through at a young age, like you did at Arsenal, like Trent's done at Liverpool. What are some of the things you have to deal with from a mental capacity, for that not to go to your head?
You have to be humble, really. You have to learn, listen to the senior pros, take everything on board that they're telling you, and not think at an early age, just because you've made 1 or 2 appearances, that, I've made it and I'm a star. You've got to earn that right. You've got to, put in shifts, and earn the respect from the senior players, because that don't come just by making an appearance or making your debut. You've got to be, proven, putting in good performances and trying to stay in the team. So you've got to keep humble.
Who was good for you?
Then when you have...
Who was good for you coming through?
Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. They always used to speak to me. And if they saw me, especially Patrick, saw me, going off the rails a little bit, he would, go, hey, in his little French steep accents and crap accents. He would go, hey, Jermaine, come on, Jermaine. And he'd be looking down at me like that. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah.
Is that when you've been pulling a few pranks, or just not putting it in on the training pitch, or what would you have to do for Patrick to say, hey?
Mate, just sometimes, if in training, sometimes I wasn't, the enthusiasm wasn't there, or I would be, lacking of concentration, not pulling my weight, not being enthusiasm as a young professional coming through should be. Because I was very laid back, and I wasn't really the best trainer at times. I used to do my talking on the pitch when it was game day, but you can't be like that. You've got to be in great ball trend. You've got to be in great. You've got to be off 100% going all the time.
2 things. So 1, I'm going to have to apologise to any French subscribers that have had to hear both Jermaine and Doogie butcher the accent. Secondly, who was the best trainer then at Arsenal in an era where there was some serious professionals?
It's great you say that. Yeah, Dennis Bergkamp couldn't do anything wrong. And then obviously Thierry Henry, he would probably train at maybe 70%, but be the best player in training. Simple as that.
Yeah.
His boots. His boots. His Nike Vapors. Would it be tied? Would it be loose? But he was just the best player in training. You look at him thinking, how's that possible? You're not even ready to train yet. Your boot's not even tied.
Feels a bit beside the point, I suppose, explaining why Henry and Bergkamp are the best trainers, doesn't it? Like what you're supposed to say. But at your time at Liverpool then, if there's a lot of Liverpool fans tuned in, you already mentioned a couple of names there, Alonso and Gerrard. What was it like entering the Liverpool camp after you'd established yourself as a senior pro? And who was, again, same question, who were some of the more relentless trainers?
The obvious ones, really. It was Steven Gerrard. No matter what kind of session it was, it would be going 110%. If it's in a 5-a-side team, half of the time I didn't want to be in his team, because if you lost, it was like losing a Premier League match. Obviously, Jamie Carragher as well. He loved to put his boots in, put his foot in, get stuck in training games. And then obviously Torres. He was a machine. He's just, if he's in your team, he was happy. He was scoring goals for fun.
What was it like, sort of witnessing Torres' demise then? Because he went from being, one of Liverpool's quickest players to 50 goals to a completely different player, shadow of his former self, following injury.
Yeah, the thing is, when you're getting a bad injury, a long injury, it is hard to sometimes get straight back into the player you was. It takes a little bit of time, and it happened to me. I was out for 3 months, and I got rushed back, and I wasn't the player when I was in my first season, and it kind of made an impact on me on my up-and-coming games and starting and stuff. So it was great in the first year when he was there. It was magnificent to play with. The goals he scored, the pace he had, the strength. It was literally a cool hero. And it was sad to see that, his form did a little dip. And obviously when he went to Chelsea, he was half the player he was at Liverpool. So that's great.
So as soon as he sold, that's it. Allegiance.
Ties
cut on. You're very cutthroat, Jermaine. I'm hearing we've got another price boost, and someone's feeling very optimistic upstairs. let's hope that this does come true because it means goals galore. And it is Liverpool to win 5-0, which is, the famous letter to the parents on FIFA. 5-1, odds accurate at the time of recording. Subject to change, of course, you have to be 18 plus to play along. But we just thought we'd throw that out there for you. Oh!
No,
I just thought we'd seen another unbelievable goal from Mo Salah, but we haven't. Will, let's have a few questions then, buddy.
Yes, Jermaine, obviously you've been on the Football Social a few times. We've also... Oh, is that a replay?
That's the replay. We've all been there. We've all been there.
You didn't again. No, we had Emil Heskey on a few times as well, and obviously he made the move from Liverpool to Birmingham. You made the move from Arsenal to Birmingham, but he said he could have joined AC Milan. Now, was there any big clubs that you could have joined before my beloved Birmingham?
Not before the Birmingham. No, actually, no. It wasn't really. It was when I was at Liverpool. I had the chance to join Real Madrid, but for some technical reason it didn't fall through because the manager, it went above his head. It was a directors and the CEO making the decision. Wanda Ramos, the ex-Tottenham manager, was the manager at the time. He wasn't happy that the board went above his head. He spat threw his toys out of the pram, and then the deal fell through.
So how close was this deal? Were you in Madrid?
No, I got the phone call saying, right, we've agreed a deal. We've agreed the price with Liverpool. Just it was a transfer window. Just stay behind your phone. A couple of days when I was going, what's happening then? What's going on? And then obviously we ended up pulling the deal.
So what time period was that for you to?
Sorry again.
What time period was this with Real Madrid? Like, what sort of players were there?
It was 2000. It would have been 2009, 2010, 2009, I think. 2009, yeah. I was in my last year of contract at Liverpool.
What was that like for your motivation after that deal had fallen through? Was it difficult to pick yourself up after that?
It was tough, but I was still at Liverpool, so I was still happy. I was still in and out of the team. I mean, I had 1 year left on my contract, so I just wanted to put myself in a shop window, play as many games as I can, and see where I was going to go next.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and you of course tasted
amazing.
Spanish football eventually with Zaragoza, and then probably experienced the polar opposite with Tony Pulis's Stoke, right? So how hard was it adjusting to all these various managers' very different ways of playing?
Yeah, so I've gone from the Spanish football tiki-taka to get the rocket launchers out. But no, it was I was used to the Premier League anyway because I played there for my whole career. But obviously it was a little bit, like I said, the style of football was a lot different, so you had to get used to that, as quick as possible, really, style of play. But what he liked out and out wingers and get the ball in the box, the big man, the big Kenwyne Jones at the time. So my job was kind of easy, really. Beat as many players as I could and put the ball in the box.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad target man to aim for, Kenwyne Jones. Absolutely ruthless on his day.
Sunderland legend.
Double substitution there. I'm sure we'll confirm that via a graphic in just a second. I couldn't see it because my little thumbnail was covering the substitution. Just being transparent with all you guys at home. These are some of the technicalities we have to deal with behind the scenes. Kiarte off, I think Milivojevic on. Surprised he wasn't starting. Maybe that was fitness related. Henderson has also come off. Right. I mean, how do you move on from Stoke and Real Madrid being within 2 minutes of each other in a conversation? I think we're going to have to go, to Social Corner and take a break, Will.
Yeah, well, let's pick up on Real Madrid and Barcelona because FA2468 says, do you think Mo Salah will be clambering for a move for Real Madrid or Barcelona, or is Liverpool now the pinnacle in club football, Jermaine?
I can't see why you want to leave Liverpool. For the past 3 seasons now, he's been one of the top goal scorers. He's winning trophies. He's now potentially, he's going to win the league. He's won the Champions League. Why does he want to risk that? I get Real Madrid is a fantastic and glorious team that everyone probably want to play for, but he looks settled. He's found himself now at Liverpool. Probably got a great relationship with Klopp. I couldn't see him wanting to leave, really. Not now.
Dude, what about you? Do you think we'll see Mo Salah in a Liverpool shirt next season?
I 100% think so. I mean, the money it would take to get Mo Salah out of Liverpool would be absolutely eye-watering. I think you'd be looking at 150 million plus, to be honest, for his form for not just this year, not just last year, but the year before that as well, when he broke the Premier League goal-scoring record for a single season. And to be honest, I know Liverpool didn't go that well this year in the Champions League, obviously losing to Atletico Madrid in the last 16. But I think you've got a much better chance of consistently challenging for trophies at Liverpool than you do at the current Real Madrid side, which whilst very solid defensively, have struggled going forward this year on occasion. So I think he'll stay put.
Oh, what a ball!
What a ball that is! What a ball that is! Please.
Oh, lovely goal. Sadio Mane, the scourge of Crystal Palace, his goal scoring form continues against the Eagles.
I told you.
He's got Jermaine on his feet. That is 9 in 11. What a ball from Mo Salah, Jermaine.
Oh, he's on.
Oh, it's a fantastic ball. That's why he's not leaving. He's got a great relationship with all the forwards, so he's not leaving anywhere. I told you he's going to get 1 goal and 1 assist today. The result's wrong, but still.
Mystic Pennant.
That ball is absolutely sickening. And I've got to say, since the return of the Premier League, this has probably been the most complete performance by a side. Liverpool have looked fairly normal. This is pre-lockdown football they're playing right now. Sharp, incisive. And just backing up what Jermaine and Doogie said about your very excellent question, Real Madrid, they're fine at the moment, but they've got to ship out Isco, Jimenez, Hazard's barely getting a game. Well, he's getting a game. He's barely registering a goal or an assist. Luka Jovic isn't getting a game. Benzema is in decent form, admittedly. And Barcelona are a little bit of a mess at the moment, aren't they? Trying to offload Ousmane Dembele. If you're a big player, I don't think now's a particularly appealing era to go to either side. They need to sort themselves out. They need to clear house a little bit. So going back to what you said, I think Liverpool are probably the preeminent force in world football at the moment, followed by Manchester City. Oh, just reliving that Trent Alexander-Arnold goal, reliving all the goals. And
we've been spoiled today, lads.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you can't see them on your screen, we've been absolutely spoiled. Jermaine, favourite goal of the day so far?
Fabinho's. It's a great strike. But then, again, this Mane one, not only was the pass amazing from Salah, but the finish as well. You've got to take it as a tough finish to squeeze that in on that far corner. Fabinho's, just Fabinho's. Rocket won it. Absolute belter.
It was gorgeous.
Juicy.
Talking of favourite goals, what about one from your career?
The
juiciest goal you've scored,
mate. The juiciest goal of my career is against Chelsea. Oh, you know, mate.
Chest it down, beats the defender, volley on the sort of angle, top bin, see you later.
No chance. Take care.
You like Mr. Tickle then, Will. You're like, arms are all over. All right, players resume. We're 72 minutes in, 18 minutes left. To get your questions in to Jermaine Pennant and to Doogie Critchley, of course. Make sure you subscribe if you've just tuned in and you're new to the channel. And yeah, let's enjoy the last 20 minutes together. So, Will, how can the guys get in touch?
Yes, get your questions in on the stream. I've got it right up in front of me. And if you want to get involved on Twitter as well, we'll get them up on the screen at Football Daily, at SoccerAM, using the hashtag TFS. Very simple, really. Just get your questions in and we'll ask them. There was one here I missed from the first half, which looks a little bit crazy now. I won't criticise all questions. It's from Queenie. She says, is Roy Hodgson potentially on for manager of the season? We all know he's not, but who is your manager of the season?
Oh,
Jermaine, we'll start with you.
Manager of the season, I've got to go on. Look, you're not going to sound biased, but I'm going Klopp. You know, you're 20 points clear of Manchester City, guys.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
that's all you're getting.
There you go.
That's all you're getting.
That's all you're getting.
The answer.
It's a pretty solid argument.
Dude, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty solid argument. I mean, I would have, pre this sort of drop in form, I think Chris Wilder would have been in with a shout. I think most people were tipping Sheffield United to go down, at least I was, before the season started, but they've been absolutely superb. But, you know, if they finish off, you know, mid-table, you probably wouldn't give him Manager of the Year. I think Brendan Rodgers deserves an enormous amount of credit for getting them in a great shape to go through their ups and downs and still hopefully secure Champions League football. But I'm with Jermaine. Definitely, it's got to be Jurgen Klopp. I mean, this is a record-breaking season, most likely. Liverpool have just been absolutely untouchable. And, the big German, the floppy-haired German with those fantastic teeth definitely deserves it.
Hamill, is a second-place shout not bad for Frank Lampard? Because I don't know about you, but I had them low down for my predictions for this season. But he's done wonders with that Chelsea team.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, I thought 5th or 6th would be representative of sort of where they were as a club. Minamino just being subbed on, by the way, and Nico Williams, just to keep you updated. I think it had, you know, Nuno Espirito Santo or Chris Wilder, had they won a cup, or if they win a cup, they might be an outside shout, just to give you another option that isn't Jurgen Klopp. But if Liverpool go on to break Manchester City's points haul, you know, most victories, full stop. I think there's still 8 or so. I might be misquoting the stat. Records left available for the club. If they break all those records, like, it can't be anyone else. But yeah, there's a tier of managers, isn't there, who are very unfortunate to not be in the conversation given the seasons they've had. Agreed. Really good question.
Jermaine, I'll have to get my 1 minute of Birmingham City talk in. Who should be the next Birmingham City manager? Because Chris Hughton's favourite. I want him back. Top bloke. Never met him. But who do you see as the next Birmingham City manager?
I'll give it Chris Hughton. He's a great bloke. I know him. Done a few things with him as well. And, you know, he knows his football. You know, every team he's been at, he's actually done quite well. He's done well with Brighton. You know, him getting a chop there was a bit weird and unlucky for him. So he's a good manager, and he does seem to do well, like I said, at teams that, and especially in the Championship. He's been there, he knows a lot about it. He's got good pedigree in that league. So I think, Chris Hughton is a great shout, and give him a chance.
Jermaine, I asked Jose Enrique this. He said he knew Chris Hughton. Will you text Chris Hughton personally and tell him to come to Birmingham for me?
If you want me to, then yeah, no problem, mate. You know,
Thank you.
I like to take my friends out, so of course will, mate.
Cheers, mate.
It's Blue Nose, Blue Nose and all that. I'll help you out, plan. No problem.
Thanks, mate.
Get on the blower.
Lovely. We'll get that signed and sealed then by tomorrow morning. If I just write that down now, that's good for you. Cheers, Jermaine. Chris Hughton, Birmingham.
Chris, Birmingham. What are you saying? Do you fancy it?
Thank you, mate.
Let me know. Well,
my work here is done now.
Same far. Yeah, come on.
Oh, thanks, Jermaine. Oh, thank you.
That's not 1 minute now. I think that was 2 minutes.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, Will's persistent, if nothing else. So, good stuff, Will. Wouldn't be a football social without you hijacking it for your own agenda, mate. And I've got a lot of time for it, a lot of admiration. Diggy, how's the game unfurled in the last 5-10 minutes? You know, we've not had a goal, mate. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, slightly slower pace from Liverpool. No goals in the last 5, but yeah, they're still knocking around comfortably. I imagine possession is still comfortably over 70% for this half, like it was in the first half. I mean, we barely touched on it, but Wilf Zaha going off in that first half for Max Meyer, that is not a like for like when you're trying to play on the counter attack in particular. So Crystal Palace have lost their main threat, and it's been a walk in the park for Liverpool. But having said that, compared to the Everton performance on Sunday, it's chalk and cheese, really. After a 3-day recovery, Liverpool have just looked absolutely excellent, so full credit to them.
Yeah, and Nico Williams picking the ball up there very deep into the Crystal Palace half. Just a very clear sign of how deeply embedded the visitors are now. They are just leaving. Just one defender at the back, Liverpool. It's an absolute thrashing in every sense of the word, isn't it? Okay, let's go over to social corner then. Oh, look at Paul Roy Hodgson.
Looks sad, doesn't he?
Sad, isn't it? Yeah, Chris, lots of questions flying in. Thick and fast. Use the hashtag TFS at SoccerAM at Football Daily. Doug, I'll start with you on this one. Thiago Silva's announced he's leaving PSG. Would he fit any Premier League clubs?
Good question, Will. Obviously, an incredible career at PSG. So experienced at 35, I believe he is as well. Been captaining them for years. I saw him linked with Everton a few months ago. And I feel like that would be the most likely fit of him. I also saw him linked to Arsenal. I don't think that's a long-term option for Arsenal, and he won't come cheap in terms of wages either. So if Everton wanted some experience alongside Holgate, Keane and Mina, because they do really need a fourth centre-back, then potentially Everton.
Amel?
Yeah, like you said, I immediately thought of Everton, and that is someone that Carlo Ancelotti could bring to the club, given his star appeal that they might not have had a shout with if Silva had remained there. So it would be a bonus for Everton, despite him being 35, 36 years of age. Yerry Mina has been consistently injured since joining from Barcelona. And Holgate's often had to play CDM, hasn't he? So if they can get him on a year's contract, and they are a rich club, Everton, they have spent nearly £500 million since the new owners came in, then I think that would be wise, not least because of results, having a dramatic impact on results, but just helping build that culture up around the club. And that's why he was brought into PSG, because of his fantastic professionalism. And look what happened to AC Milan after he left. I mean, him and Zlatan left in the same window after Max Allegri had won Serie A with that AC Milan side. And I'm not saying that's the singular reason, but they have been absolutely woeful year on year ever since. Losing great pros like him. So I think Ancelotti at PSG, he was asked to build the winning culture. I think he would have been given the same instructions at Everton, and why not get someone in like him at this point? I think if money's no object, fine, absolutely fine. But I don't. By that same token, I don't think an out-and-out top six side paying him 120 to 150 grand a week is the best use of their cash. Don't know what you think, Jermaine. Where would you like to see someone like Thiago Silva enjoy the final years of an illustrious career?
Well, if you just gave David Luiz 120 or 100 plus a week contract, and you can give Thiago Silva one 100%. He's a proven world-class defender. You don't see mistakes. Solid. Great, being a great advocate for Brazil. And who knows, he might even help David Luiz to find some form or a player that he was once at Chelsea. Because in his early years, again, like I said, I did really thought David Luiz was a good player. So I would, I wouldn't put it past Arsenal, but Arsenal to get in, because their defensive woes at the minute, leaking goals, losing games. I think they need to, maybe for a year or so, just ease sturdy again and then rebuild slowly. It's got to start from the back. So why not Arsenal? If Everton can do it, so can Arsenal, because at the minute, Arsenal and Everton 8 million miles apart.
Yeah, of course, Everton. I think only 3 clubs have taken more points since Carlo Ancelotti came in. He's really not just steadied the ship, but he's excelled in some regards. Bit more pragmatic. The football's maybe hasn't been as quite as adventurous as Everton fans would like. I mean, Will Keane scoring a winner against Norwich away from home is probably emblematic of that. But they are creeping up the table nonetheless, and it'll be interesting to see what power he still wields in the transfer market with those stars, those aforementioned stars available at Real Madrid as well. We could see some very interesting transfers at Goodison. I was about to say Tyneside, but I believe that is inaccurate. Okay, so get your questions to Will before my brain explodes. Where would you like to see Thiago Silva as well? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll read out some of the most outlandish shouts. Will, have you spotted any in the interim period?
Yeah, obviously we've been waxing lyrical about Liverpool, Jermaine, but for you, I want to focus the attention down the bottom of the table now. Who do you think are the 3 teams that are going down?
Obviously Norwich. Sorry, Norwich, but you're gone.
Rubbish.
I think Norwich, Bournemouth, and Villa.
Well said, Jermaine.
Yeah, of course I was thinking of you, Will. Don't worry, pal.
Cheers, mate. Dude, what about you? You got a different bottom 3?
Not massively so, but I said before the resumption that I thought it was going to be Norwich, Bournemouth, and West Ham, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. I think Aston Villa or West Ham, I think it'll be between those 2 sides, particularly with Brighton looking pretty good since the resumption, and Newcastle picking up some wins as well. But West Ham, I was watching them last night against Spurs, and they just offered virtually nothing all game, and it's goals that are going to keep you in this division right now. And Felipe Anderson, Pablo Fornals, even Mikel Antonio now really struggling in front of goal. So I worry for West Ham, honestly.
What about you?
Yeah, double substitution there. Sorry, mate. Harvey Elliott and Naby Keita coming on, and the Mane and Robertson coming off. In terms of going down, I think, Norwich pretty much nailed on. I think it's Bournemouth's time. I think they had a very small window of opportunity to build a more well-rounded squad, but they've always been heavily reliant on 3 or 4 individuals in their attack overperforming, and it's come back to haunt them. I don't think Watford deserve to go down. So it's between West Ham and Aston Villa for me, and to be honest, I kind of want West Ham to go down because they shouldn't be in that situation with that squad. I just think they've just been mismanaged. They lack vision, and like Doogie said, kind of a little bit bored of them offering nothing. So yeah, I don't necessarily think they deserve to be up by virtue of being a well-supported local club with a big ground. I don't. So yeah, I think West Ham fans will be the first to admit that they're in deep trouble. I
actually think West Ham will join them and Villa will stay up based on the first 3 performances since the project restart, because like Doogie said, that one against Tottenham last night was far from anywhere near that they need the standards to be hitting. And Villa, getting a late point again today, which is so crucial when you think all those 3 teams are now on 27 points. Yeah, I think just West Ham, I think they need the Championship just to clean out this club and almost hit the reset button themselves and come back up with a smaller wage bill and maybe some players that actually want to play there.
How many times has that happened though at West Ham? Like it's ridiculous, and they've made big money signings that stylistically don't match with the manager that they then employ. I suppose the whole Pellegrini experiment has cost them in a big way, but
and said he'd be surprised if they didn't finish in the top 6.
Wow.
Really? I think everyone was pretty positive about their signings in the last 2 or 3
crazy.
Last 2 or 3 windows when they had Pellegrini at the helm and Mario Hosios as their director of football, and Diop was coming in, Fabianski, Yarmolenko less so, Seb Haller, Felipe Anderson, Pablo Fornals. Like, these are players that we talked about as good young players of a right age, but they've gone from Manuel Pellegrini to David Moyes, which I just think is just a complete juxtaposition in terms of managerial style, philosophy, even energy. I think David Moyes just acts like it's so negative all the time. Even his interviews are so negative. And he just hasn't improved since he was at Sunderland, in my regard, on that front. So I just wouldn't be surprised at all
like
if
you
West Ham went
said,
down.
they've just spent so much money on attacking options. They don't have great balance in midfield. They've needed to buy a central midfielder for a long, long time that's got more mobility than Mark Noble, that's a little bit more tenacious in the tackle than Declan Rice. I mean, he's a very well-rounded central midfielder, but playing in a 4-3-3, he's had little to no support for the best part of 18 months now. But yeah, having your outstanding players like Felipe Anderson, I know he's been injured as well, which has been a bit unlucky, in attack, and then employing David Moyes it's been a strange one. But it's kind of, I feel like more old school owners still have this knee-jerk reaction when things are going wrong to revert back to tried and tested English managers in the Sam Allardyce mould. It's like that plan B is not a guarantee for safety, and they maybe should have tried something a little bit more adventurous or that was in tune with what they were trying to do at first. But it's kind of easy to say in hindsight, and I don't know why I'm getting wound up about West Ham, because I literally could not care less about them.
It's weird though as well, because you think that, like you said, they brought Pellegrini in to do that attacking job, and if they hadn't have sacked him, I don't think they'd be in this position right now, because like you said, Chris, they bought the players for him, and now you're giving David Moyes these. It's like giving me white trainers. I'm going to go out once and I'm going to wreck them, and I can't wear them again. So just don't give him nice things.
I mean, he'd kept them up before, hadn't he? But this is what I mean. If that's your plan B all the time, it's going to catch up with you. And I just feel that other clubs in and around, that area, like Brighton, have been far more adventurous. They've been far more consistent in their vision and their way of playing. Even since Graham Potter's come in, that they've clearly trusted his way of playing, even throughout the bad patches. And it's across the course of the season, it's probably going to serve you better than bouncing from one manager to another. But that's a great question. Jermaine, do you have anything to add? Because I see you nodding.
I would say that the game now is evolved so much and so quickly, and the managers that we're talking about, your Sam Allardyce's, your Moyes, are still kind of stuck in the old ways of playing football and staying in the league, just to be safe. So when West Ham have appointed Moyes, it's nothing to do with what players we've got. It was about just try and keep us up. The players they've got, you need a manager who's going to be, expressive with your players. Otherwise, you're not going to get the best out of your team. It's not going to work. And there's a great through ball here. It's going to be 5. It is.
No.
Oh, young. Oh, would have been nice to get 5.
Nearly 5 at Anfield.
Would have been nice.
That was a great ball. Was that Williams from defence? Sorry, I didn't see that. I just missed it in the build-up.
Minimal.
I think it might well have been. Oh, was it Minamino? Nice one.
No,
so I've got a quick
quiz.
I've got a quick quiz for you boys. Is this as the clock ticks down? Of course, no chance of a Crystal Palace comeback. We might see a 5th goal, and that prize boost might come in. But please play along at home as well. And if you get it correct, then Will shout you out all the way from the depths of the comments. Okay. So Mane has now scored in 6 consecutive Premier League appearances against Palace. 9 other players have scored in 6+ consecutive Premier League apps versus a single opponent. Okay, so 9 other players have also scored 6 times in 6 games against Premier League opposition. Can you name those players? There's going to be some obvious ones that will get you off to a good start.
Kane.
Oh.
Harry Kane has done it against Southampton, correct?
Aguero must have.
Yes, that's
surprisingly, no.
I didn't say Aguero.
If anyone in the comments gets the team as well, then we'll follow you on all your social media channels.
Thank you, Chris.
Thierry Henry must have.
Thierry Henry is not down there, but you are.
What is this list?
Premier League top goal scorers, just as a way of starting.
Rooney.
Andy Cole.
No, to both.
Wow.
What is going on here?
Teddy Sheringham.
So I'm going to go more.
Torres.
No.
I'm going more niche. As Lukaku.
Yes, Lukaku against West Ham. That's maybe what prompted this question. He used to decimate West Ham when he played against them, didn't he? 7 goals he got, in fact, against West Ham in his many appearances.
Drogba.
I just had a comment come in here
from
Jennifer. It says, guy bottom left, where's Scooby-Doo at? Which I find a little bit offensive. I am getting my hair cut soon. Maybe I do look like Shaggy. Luis Suarez?
Luis Suarez is not one. Right, I'm going to give you a couple.
Yeah,
so we've got RVP against Stoke. He scored in 8 consecutive games. A shame you didn't get that, Jermaine, to be frank. And Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank against West Ham. So if you can get another couple, then that's it. We've got a quiz done and dusted.
Just as well do that, I'd like to give a bit of credit to Nico Williams as well. Correct. He's had a really good cameo.
Shearer is correct, and well worth flagging Neco Williams' appearance. Love that.
Dwight York?
No, I'm afraid not. Right, you've timed out, lads. That's it now. I think you're missing Mahrez, Giroud, and that's possibly it, actually. So we didn't do too bad against Sterling as well. That is full time. The result was so convincing that we even managed to squeeze in a quiz there at the very end, at the death. Mo Salah back in the team sheet, back on the score sheet, and we were treated to a gluttony of goals today. Let's go to the table. Let's wrap this bad boy up. Okay, so
Juicy.
Liverpool, there we have it. If Chelsea do them a favour tomorrow, they wrap up the title. And of course, they are on course at current to break 8 more records. Well, they're still available even. All right. Crystal Palace remain in 9th. Gentlemen, any observations you'd like to make about the top half in the Premier League? Anything that's a talking point for you boys?
I think Liverpool have got a great chance to win the league this year myself.
Right, we're not going to... Oh, Shaggy bottom left is he stole the limelight there. Right. Okay, so let's take a few final questions then, and then we'll plug tomorrow's show, which is set to be absolutely blockbuster, led by our own Pep Guardiola there, bottom right. Will, over to you.
Yeah, obviously Chris spoke about it. Huge match tomorrow, Jermaine. But what do you think the score will be? Is it wrapped up?
Do you know what? The way Man City have been playing in the last 2 games, 8 goals in 2, it's hard to see them slipping up. So I don't think it's going to be, all done and dusted just yet. We're going to need another game, another victory to tie it. I think Man City were going to do the job tomorrow.
What about you, Duke? Because Chelsea have looked good on the restart.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it took them a while to break down Villa, but then Christian Pulisic with a good impact from the bench. But the worry for City is that Aguero's now out. I mean, he had to go over to Spain to visit Dr. Coolgat, the knee specialist, for surgery. So he's now out. So big opportunity for Gabby Jesus for those run of starts that he's been looking for ever since he really joined City. But yeah, for me, I can only see a City win, but I think it'll be tight, maybe 2-1.
Doogie, I thought you said Dr. Coolcat then, and I was going to say, please do not let a man called Dr. Coolcat operate on your knee, Gabby Jesus. That is fraudulent. I smell a rat.
That's a recipe for disaster, yeah.
One more question, Will. So you're going to have to pick an absolute worldie to end this show on.
Let's finish on a negative. That's what I like to do. We'll go to you, Jermaine, first. From Easy Pal, he says, will Arsenal finish in the bottom half?
Yes.
Yeah,
Play David
there
Luiz.
we have it.
Didn't see that coming.
Right, I think David David Luiz has made a new enemy on this stream in the form of Jermaine Pennant. He's not having that 1 year extension by any means. Okay, that is the end of the Football Social today. Thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. But of course, it isn't the end of the Football Social. We've been plugging it all night, and rightly so as well, led by this man, Doogie Critchley. We are back tomorrow. There we have it. Chelsea versus City at Stamford Bridge, 8 p.m. Soccer M and Football Daily's YouTube pages. I'm going to start saying Football Daily first. Whoever does these vizzes, I'm going to have a word. No, only kidding. Right, so please join us for that. It's going to be absolutely superb, and we have a very special guest for you. And you might as well guess who that guest is in the comments, and maybe we'll have a look tomorrow and see if any of you have cracked it. Thank you very much for joining me. Like I said, gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Thank you very much for tuning in at home. Shout out to our technical team behind the scenes, but yeah, that'll do. And me and Will, clearly we need to communicate more on wardrobe moving forward, because this has been an absolute visual splendour. Okay, that's it. Take care. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, gents. Goodbye.